All right, there it is. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Morning Coffee Review. I'm Jason Hartley, joined here with Michael Atrave, and guess where we are?
In person. I can actually high five Jason in person now. No more virtual stuff. We have joined live for our Christmas party, and we decided to kick it off and actually have morning coffee review instead of canceling, which we all know no one likes to cancel things. So we are in person and we are going to answer survey questions today. Again, we're going to go through survey questions. If you have your own questions, feel free to shoot them in the chat area. We'll be looking towards you all and down at our computers as we go through. Anything else to add?
Greetings from Phoenix.
Yes.
Let's get going.
All righty.
So while Michael is compiling some of our survey questions that you guys have been so gracious to send in after each one of our sessions, before we started this morning, we got a question from Chris. So this is where we're going to start, and this will set the tone for what we're going to do today. So ask questions. We're going to answer them, and maybe we don't even know the answer. We're going to figure it out. That's always half the fun, at least for me, for a morning coffee review. Figure things out as we go.
Agreed. If we don't know the answer to something, we'll try to troubleshoot it there because we don't know all things Bluebeam. We try to, but I think it's an endless loop of figuring new things out, learning new workflows. But if we don't know, we'll try to figure it out. If not, we will get back to you with an answer.
And that's what's so great about this morning coffee review and really starting this community or building upon this community of Bluebeam users across the country, because we're all using it in different ways, right? I might be working mainly on markups. You might be working on QA/QC. Someone else is doing quantities and other things like that. And then we've got amazing admin staff putting together amazing forms.
Yep. And
that leads to our first question from Chris. Can we do forms and set the text to be all caps? What do you think? I think I'm going to fire up the software. Let's find out.
So I think that's a Windows thing for all caps, but we can go in and look. I think that's a computer setting, default for the Windows setting of what your input is on your keyboard, but we can definitely go in and see. So that's just my first initial guess.
Let's see, let's do this old fax one.
So this one doesn't have fields though, right?
I know, I'm going to use my magic trick. Maybe. Automatically create form fields. There we go. But it didn't get this one. So let's go make a new form field. Now, this is where that second monitor would be pretty nice because I can't see anything.
We are in the office with just our laptop monitors, which aren't bad. They are what, 15 inches? So they're not the worst, but we're used to having I have a 32 and a 24. We probably have a 32 and a 24 too.
Yeah. 15-inch laptop monitor, and then I think my home monitor is like 27 or so. All right, so I've created a form field. I just did a basic text box, which I'm using here for this too. And in here, we're going to see the properties. So I've opened up the properties window on the right side here, and here I can give it a name. And we have all these different options. So let's go see if we can find something that will force it to be all capitals. And I don't believe.
All I'm seeing here is bold and italic.
Right. That's so there's a font style. There isn't a force, because that would be really nice, actually. So let's. Whoop.
But I think that comes back to it being a keyboard setting, Windows-based.
Actions. Nope. This does not look possible.
Yeah.
So there could be some sort of JavaScript magic, but I'm not seeing anything.
But that probably, yeah, JavaScript would probably be search for this, replace with that, which would be like find and replace with all caps.
Yeah, that would also work.
But actually, no, because find and replace doesn't replace it with its actual setting of what it was to something new. It's if it was capital and then lowercase and you put all caps to type in, it will upper lowercase. So. All righty.
Good question from Rob. So I'm going to stop sharing. I'll let you fire up your review and get ready for this one.
Mine's already up.
All right, cool. Question here from Rob. They've shifted over 100% Bluebeam from Acrobat. Thanks. Good luck. Awesome. Everything's great. except for fill and sign on Adobe, which is really good for signing contracts. Okay, I'll give you that. I know how to sign docs with Bluebeam with a password, but is there a similar type of fill sign function? Because it's really slick on an Acrobat. So the question to you back, Rob, is what version of Revu do you have? Because if you have Revu Extreme, then you can do more fill sign stuff across multiple documents at the same time.
I'm guessing Adobe works almost probably like DocuSign, where it's like, is he talking about where he clicks it and then it drops him down to the next signature area? Is that what he's talking about?
Maybe. That's pretty slick.
Yeah, because that's slick. I do like that. I know DocuSign has that. Revu doesn't have anything like that so far. What Revu does have is the batch sign and seal, which is signing and sealing in the same location. We actually did that last week. It looks like someone put in the chat.
Yeah.
20 extreme. Okay. So what you could do, it's not going to let you, if there's already a place for you to sign and they place that signature, this isn't going to help you that much. But what this will help you is if you don't have a signature, you have like a line where you're supposed to sign, great, because this will help you with that. If you already have the signed spots in place, this isn't going to help you with that because you're going to have to go through and click anyways, because that's how Revu works with signatures, because it's encrypting per page. But if you wanted to go through, let me open this one, save as, because whenever you're signing a document, it saves it as a new encrypted document. So I'm not going to overwrite my data sets here. I'm going to save this to my desktop. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to batch, and from batch, I'm then going to go to sign and seal. So if you have Revu Extreme, because this is a Revu Extreme feature only, this is what you're going to go through and do. So from here, I'm going to try a different thing from signatures. I'm wondering if you could click through and do it for signatures the other way. But so from here, we're going to do batch, sign, and seal. I'm going to hit next. You're going to be brought to this window. So this will allow you to apply digital signatures here. This is going to be your sign-in signature of whatever you have. I have my signed signature here, which is just my ATG logo. And then I'm going to have my seal here, and that's going to be, you may not be providing the seal, you may be providing just the signature. So if you just wanted the signature on the same spot, well, not on, in the same spot on the PDF, same location, this is what you're going to do. Now, my other thought was, what happens if there is signature locations? So hold on, let me go to tools, apply signature location here. And then do, so that's now a place. Let me go to the next page and add a new place to sign. Because what you'll have is now from here, if I go to signatures, so it's not even showing the boxes in here. I guess it's only when you sign it. So maybe under forms. Where's my forms tab? So you can go to here and click on them, but it's not going to manually sign all of them at once. And I think that's kind of where you're going with that. So option A, delete the signature fields and then do the batch sign and seal, right?
Or add hyperlinks to jump you to the next spot.
True. Or, but that's just, yes, I would agree.
Or flags.
Or you can click these too from your forms.
True. That's a great way to do it.
But I think specific versions don't have the forms panel.
Right.
If I'm correct. Yours Extreme will. We have Extreme and you get the forms panel. This lets you click to each one and then sign them. Then you can come into here and just click, select, sign. You've already signed in. You get to sign it. But it's encrypting them per page. Okay. Hopefully that answers your question.
Interesting. Good question. So with that,
Unless.
oh, are we going down the rabbit hole? You know I love to do it.
I'm looking. There isn't any. Yeah, there isn't sign all here. So yeah. Okay.
That'd be cool. Right, Doug? I'm glad some of you like going down the rabbit hole with us because it's always fun, right? That's how we figure things out. And it's always fun with a sounding board.
Yes. Okay, so that is it for the live questions so far. Again, keep rolling them in, YouTube land as well. So feel free to ask any questions as we go through here. We'll bring up a survey question. I'm going to pause my screen so we can't see all of the data from the survey questions, but I will be able to at least look them up right here. So we had one question earlier, and I was asking Jason, should we, because it's kind of a very broad topic. It's more of like a whole Bluebeam session. So maybe we'll just list things of topics, and maybe you can write them down and kind of check back on some of our older videos. This question was, we won't say last names, we'll just say first names. This question was from Corey, and he wanted to know that, well, he's just getting started in Bluebeam. He wanted to know some basic topics. So usually when I'm starting off with basics, what do I need to know in Revu would be profiles to start out with.
Yep. I was going to say that is my number one recommendation is when you first install Bluebeam Revu, if you haven't seen it before, it's not that impressive, right? It shows up with a gray screen. There's not many buttons. Go up to the profile, change it to Revu Advanced. Then you start seeing all those little toolbars pop up. It really makes a huge difference. So that's my number one tip for starting with Bluebeam Revu, because that's going to at least show you what's possible.
Mm-hmm. And if you're wondering, well, hey, that's great that you're talking about it. We do have videos. So go to our YouTube channel and under Bluebeam. So, and even the morning coffee review, but under Bluebeam, you'll see quick tip videos. One's on profiles. The next one would be customizing your markups. So I did do a training recently, and they were setting default to their markups, which is okay per se. So let's say you change your markups, the colorization and how it looks. Some folks will save it as default. So when you re-click the call out, it shows the default. But what you should really be doing is utilizing the tool chest. So that just tells me you're not currently using the tool chest, and you should be, right? Because maybe you have 4 different types of call outs that you're going to utilize and not have the one that's permanent, because then you still have to change it out of that one, right?
Right.
So the next one would be tool chest, I think. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Setting it as default is great until it isn't.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You get an update for the software. Sometimes it resets them. There's all sorts of issues that can arise from that. But some people like that workflow. Depends on what you're using it for.
Yep. So I would say profiles, tool chests, maybe customizing your markups. I did a webinar on Spice Your Markups. So learning how to customize your markups. So maybe profiles, customizing markups, then tool chest.
There you go.
And then markups lists.
Yes. And turning off columns. Sometimes that markups list, all those columns go nuts. Go in, choose what you want, drag and drop them into the order you want to see them. It'll really simplify the whole markup list magic that's available down there.
Yep. So I agree. The markups lists, and then finally you will have Studio. Those are just like the basics. Okay. We're not going advanced, other things that you can do in Revu. We're just talking, what should I know about Revu? Starting out, not overload you, even though that's very overloading already, would be your profiles. So how the interface works and how things tie into it. Customizing your markups, because why else would we be in Revu, right?
Right.
The tool chest, another reason why else would we be in Revu, because good old Adobe, for those folks that have been used Adobe, you would have to copy your markups from PDF to the next that you customize. And then the markups list, which has all of your metadata associated to the markups. And then collaboration, which is free. So if you're paying for Dropbox, there's Studio Projects, which is free, free unlimited storage for any file type. And then sessions, which is collaboration. So like if we weren't here doing a design review in the office, we would be virtually doing that so we could live watch each other. So those are the kind of target list items, I think.
Especially now, we're seeing more and more folks adopting sort of hybrid work schedules where maybe they're not in the office or they're working remote, or maybe they like to work a night shift where everybody else is working at a different time. You can all review the same set of plans through a session and just have it expire at a later time. You can go in when it's convenient, say when you're in there and say when you're done, you know, lock the door as you leave, and you're good to go.
Exactly. There was a question, it looks like. I'm so far away. Can you see that? Because I'll have to lean in to see it. I don't want to look awkward.
Okay. Tim has a user who's using Revu 20 CAD, and they were able to apply their digital signature. He wants to be able to send that sealed document to an external team to be able to combine the sealed documents with theirs. There's going to be a problem. I guess something happens when the other team tries to combine the documents with ours. Is there a written workflow somewhere that goes through how a team shares sealed docs? That's a great question, Tim. Two things of note. Sort of piggybacking and going back to Michael's first, or the question he just answered. If you go to the atg.com website, there's a section there called workflows and resources, or resources, workflows and solutions. Our marketing team, we love them. They're amazing. And they've put together all of just a whole collection of written workflows and white papers and blogs and stuff that we've done, not just on Bluebeam, but Autodesk products and Esri products. We're all over the place. So there are some things in there, but this particular question won't be addressed in there. This comes from when you seal a document with Bluebeam Revu, you have the option to certify it to not allow changes. So think about that. If you signed a set of plans and then you release it and somebody else goes and they stick other plans in it, that's no longer the same document that you signed off on. So there's some legal issues there. There's some things that you wouldn't want to do. In this situation, you wouldn't want to combine them. What would you want to do instead? Use sets?
You could use sets if you want to visually see them together, or just don't certify it and just sign it, right? Yeah,
that would also work.
So if you still want to combine them, but you want a signature, great, sign them, just don't certify them and send them on their merry way, and then have them do with what they will. But be aware, right? The whole part about certifying it is so they can't modify it. That is the certification form, because you signed that portion of the document and you didn't want it to be modified. So
great question, Tim. Thank you for sending that over.
Is that it? Okay. So let me repause my thing so we can go. We talked about the first question, which was asked last week in our survey, basics, covered that. Next one is custom columns using formulas. So let's hop on in. And that was by David. Sorry. Usually I'm kind of blind, so I try not to lean in. So I'm trying to see them from a distance from here. But as we go through, let's talk about those. Let me resume my screen share. And I'm in review, and I think this is the Zoom chat here. Hold on, bring that down. Oh.
Yeah, working with one monitor is a little tricky. Maybe we should have done a little split screen action, but we'll make it work here.
Okay, so I'll just exit out of the Q&A. Now, down here in the markups list, you have the ability to, like Jason was mentioning earlier, reorganize your columns, right? So as we go through and look at all of our columns here, I have some columns created already. And ironically enough, I have a formula-based column here. So when I go through and make a markup, so I'm going to go and grab a tool chest. Now, this was specific to electrical design set that I had and was talking with the client. Yes, this is a structural design set, but what I'm going to go through and do is place a line volt here that is a 120 volt. It is a measurement feature here. I'm going to hold shift. It's actually a poly length. I need to apply a scale, and this is 330 seconds. Now, what I'm having here is some data being populated. So already with this custom markup, it's on a layer. I like having custom tool sets on a layer so that I can turn specific markups off that are set to a tool set. Number two is I have a cost value already associated to the markup, which you can do by creating a custom column that's not formula based, right? It's just a custom column that has a numerical value assigned to it. And then from there, I created a custom column that is formula based, which is total cost. And that's what we're going into, was the formula portion of that. So from here, I have a total cost of my length of my 120 volt that I'm going to be installing in this building that I have here. Now, how do I go about doing that? You can go to the markups list right here. There's the drop down. You have columns. Then the over button, you can go to down to manage columns, because these are all of the ones out of the box here. I can go to manage columns. And then from here, I have custom columns window. So if I want to go through and create a custom column, two things. Custom column, once you created it, stays with the PDF. If you wanted to also stay with your profile, so if you open up your profile, you see this, not the PDF, because the custom column will go away if you close the PDF. But if you want to stay with the profile like I had these already assigned to the profile, then I opened the PDF and it was already there. You're going to hit save to profile right here. Now, how do I create a formula-based column? You're going to go to add. And then from here, you get to name what type of column it's going to be. So for this instance, I did total cost down here. Next one, type, right? So you said formula. Now, how does formula work? So you have these things called expressions, which really, before you place your expression, it's going to be a column that's available, right? Because it's something by something, or it's a
this plus that, this times that,
what are
this
those
divided
called?
by that.
Oleander values, right?
I'm not the one to ask.
Okay.
Oleanders are plants. You should have known this.
So coming into here, I'm going to start typing what I want to do, right? So like for this instance, I had cost. So I wanted cost. So I'm going to type in C, and it shows me all of my variables available for it. So from here, I'm going to go down and say, hey, cost. And then what are you going to do? So I'm going to multiply, which is the star, times what? The length. So as I type in L again, it's giving me my available columns to select from. It actually has functions here. Yeah.
If you go up, there was the length.
Yeah, I'm just looking. I haven't seen this functions portion here. So there's even a tangent. That's crazy. Okay. So there's even more functions that I wouldn't have thought of doing in here. And just be aware, again, something I learn new every day. Go to length, and then that's going to be my item. So it's going to be cost times length. You just say what it is, and then it gives you that. I already have that one here. So I can go look at that one for total cost, modify, and that's exactly what I had, but the opposite direction. And then I gave it a format because you can give it a numerical value. It's going to be currency for this specific one, and then 2 decimal places, because is there anywhere that has past 2 decimal places?
Not for money.
Okay. So I don't know why.
Well, I think I have seen 3 decimal places in some euro.
Okay. Well, anyways, 2 decimal places here, currency value, you have some additional different ones. Is there more? Gosh, I'm so blind.
Euro,
Okay.
krona, pull that count again. So there's a dollar, there's euro, the krona, the pound, the won, and the yen. So look at that.
And then including totals, this is a big one. If you don't include totals, they're not going to add all of them up. So if you're just working with the 120 volts, for instance, and you wanted to have the total of your 120 volt line, you're going to want to know the totals probably. You don't have to. You can manually add them yourselves. But again, it's completely up to you.
So yeah, those formula functions, the only thing I don't like about that is there's no, when that drop down, you had all of the different variables and you had some of those other sine, cosine stuff, but there wasn't an add or subtract. So you have to know to use the asterisk, use the backslash, forward slash,
For divide forward
slash, and then plus and minus.
Yep. So you have to know those features. It works. If you know Excel formulas, it works pretty similar. Okay.
We did do a pretty good episode about this a few months ago. It should be labeled on YouTube, where we went into Excel to calculate wall area and how much it would cost to paint a wall.
Yes.
So we got pretty in depth with that. Thanks to help from the community for helping us with Excel.
There was a comment in the survey that we should learn more about Excel, which we haven't had time yet to, but we hope to in the future learn more in terms of Excel formulas.
About that, I did sign up for a global e-training course.
Ooh, so Jason is tackling it first. Again, we listen to your comments. So if you say, hey, Mike and Jason need to learn this, we'll try to when we have time, of course, and we'll go through and try to tackle those. Okay, so that was the first survey. Those are the only questions from last week. The next one is, so JavaScripting, we're not professionals in JavaScripting yet, and
that's
we'll
your job.
that one.
You're going to get that one.
Yes,
right?
correct.
Oh, so a question here from Christy. Pretty new. I'm wondering if I can calculate flooring for takeoff, such as tile. So this is perfect segue from the custom columns. You can absolutely calculate flooring for takeoffs, such as tile or carpet or hardwood or whatever you want.
I'm opening up a document for you as you talk through it.
So Michael's opening up a document to show you just this. So if you want to play along, you're welcome to do so. This is one of my favorite things to show off, because not only is flooring a valid thing, or landscaping or gravel or whatever you're going to do for the civil folks like me, you can change your materials, carpet, tile, hardwood, whatever. And then using that formula that Michael just showed, we can take that area or even volume and apply it towards a cost.
And if we have extreme, we could put that into Excel.
That's right.
Sorry, yes, I'm getting close. So all the comments of me getting close to my thing, so I can actually see the screen. Okay, so we're in review here. I have a plan set open. I already have a profile created that has custom tool sets. So what you always want to do when you're creating any type of bidding, you probably want to create custom tool sets that have data already associated to it. So if you're new to review, I highly recommend going and watching one of our custom tool sets videos that we've done in the morning coffee review. Again, they're about an hour long. You can fast forward, you can watch 2 times the speed, whatever you need to do to kind of speed that along, feel free to. But as we go through here, I'm going to show you from my tool sets on the left-hand side. If I see my tool chest, which I don't.
Is it hiding?
Or do I just can't see it? No, it's not. Here is it below.
Where is it? Did it go on the other side? Tool chest, it's there. It's at the bottom. Alt X.
There we go. Okay. So from here, I have my tool chest available. And what I can do is I'll see that I have this thing called punch key flooring. Now, if I change this from the gear symbol to detail, I have some changing of what the data is for it. So yes, I've had a question before. Hey, Mike, can I rearrange these columns? You cannot, unfortunately, because now I have to pull this all the way out to see the label. I know. I know. If you're ever wanting to suggest things to Bluebeam, the more suggestions they get, the more likely
this would be a great
thing.
one. Make a suggestion.
It's under
all bomb them today. With
yeah,
this one.
it's under help, make suggestion. Okay, so from here, I went and made my area takeoffs have the subject name of flooring. Why? Because I'm gonna have the custom columns that are gonna pull out my data. And again, everything can be done natively in Review. It does not need to be done elsewhere, but it's completely up to you if you want to bring out to Excel. If you have Extreme, you can have the live formula data, which I'll show next, populate into Excel. And we did a whole morning coffee review on that. So I'm just going to show, I'm not going to elaborate today. Then you have the label of what it is. So what am I going to be placing? I tied the label to that specific one. So let's go, for instance, the carpet is the first markup that we're going to go in and place. Now I'm going to go down. I already calibrated this document to what the scale is. So the bottom right, I have my scale here, and I can just go through and click through points and drop my carpet placement. So over here, I have my custom columns already created in this specific document. So the PDF is hosting the data for this one, this instance, not the profile. But what I have here is my flooring takeoffs. I have the label of carpet. And then I also have the measurement. So it's 96 square feet, 96 is some change. What's the total material cost? The cost of the material. I don't have a total column. Now we can go through and create that. But the reason why I don't have a total column here is because I use this as the Excel link. So I have the live data into Excel already open, and now that's being populated here.
That was a neat trick. You already had that queued up and I didn't even see you do it.
Yes. So my data isn't totaled in Review, but I showed you that earlier, how you could do that. This one is being totaled in Excel through quantity link, which is only a Review Extreme feature.
Side note about columns, since we're still talking about it, custom columns cannot be done in a studio session. So make sure it's in part of your PDF prior to uploading it to a studio session. Good question, Christy. I hope that helps you on your new journey to Review.
Yes. And we will be at some point, right, in the near future. We'll give you a little hint talking about limitations in studio.
Follow-up question. The flooring was cool. Can you place seam lines? Of course you can.
Oh, like a hatch.
Use a hatch.
Oh, okay.
So go back to your fancy little carpet there. Actually, make it tile. You have that capability. Is that one tile?
Yeah.
So you can customize this. Oh, look at that.
Well, that's hardwood. Oops. Should probably bring this out. Tiles right here. I don't know what
pink
I use for tile.
There you go. So you can use whatever hatch. And if you really wanted to be careful or picky about it, you could have, you know, the different dimensions of tile, 6-inch tile, 4-inch tile. Yep. I was going to name brands or materials, but I really don't know.
And you can create your own, by the way, hatch pattern. So
save that for a future topic. We've never done that.
Okay.
That'd be a good one.
But you can. So from here, you do have the ability to change it, but there's one for hardwood. So like you were saying, like your cross pattern, right? Is that what she was saying? Okay.
Yeah, you can include grout lines visibly by changing that hatch pattern.
Yeah.
Good question. Now, if you really wanted to be crazy about it, you could draw lines for your grout and then figure out how much grout you're going to need. But that's, you know, a whole other story. All right. I have another question here from Rob. Can you create your own keyboard shortcuts? I guess you can.
Yes.
So the letter keys, or can you edit existing ones? So first, where do you find where they are currently?
Going too quick. So it's up in the top left of the menu of review. This is the same place where you find profiles, but you have the keyboard shortcuts. You select it. And then from here, you now have your options of existing ones. I don't like to look at existing ones here. There's a nice PDF of it in the help section. And whenever I show folks this, please do not print it out. It's the whole point of review. It's always going to live here. It's keyboard shortcuts lists. They're here, and they also will show up where they are defaulted under here. This is also where you can reassign. So it's one of two things. You can reassign ones that aren't existing, but this is also where you can look up like Shift Alt A. If I were to assign it to my fancy, you know, mouse that has like 10 different buttons on it, I would just need to know what the shortcut is and then tie it to my Logitech area, not to here. So I'd go to my Logitech hub, and then this is where I'd assign it to my mouse. Right, because then I know that's Alt, whatever the item was, and then I assign that specific, oh, come on, skip intro. I know what this does. So from here, I would assign it to like one of my side buttons, right?
You got way more buttons than I do, and I hate this mouse, so maybe I'm going to upgrade.
Yeah, so from this one, I could assign it to, I'd select in here and then type in what my command is, the Alt, was it Control Alt A?
Shift Alt A?
Something.
It'll do all of that? That's pretty
Yeah.
clever.
So you would type in the command here, the keys for it on what's already existing. I would just be wary of changing things that are already there. But I mean, to each their own, it's your environment. You do what you would like to do.
But for you old school CAD users, this is a good tip, because now line is L in Review. It's also L in AutoCAD. So you can make them map. If you are a keyboard hotkey type of person, you could totally customize it and become ninja level pretty
Yeah,
quick.
I mean, when I used to be in the design world, I used to just, my left hand would just sit right here and I would only use my mouse. So for me, I'd hardly ever go through and use the keyboard. But again, to each their own in their design environment and how they like to use their tools. Anything else?
Couple things. Bluebeam themselves as a company has a mouse pad that has a bunch of keyboard shortcuts on it. Sometimes they give them away at conferences or whatever.
I think we were giving them out in our boxes. Is that right, DJ, CJ?
We might have some laying around. So hopefully we'll be coming to a conference soon, and we'll bring one for you.
Yeah, because they were saying XCon is supposed to be in somewhere. Was it California? I forget what the email was after. So if that is in person, hopefully we can rally ATG behind us going.
You didn't get your XCon socks?
Oh, I did not get my X.
I won't spoil it for you then.
Okay.
I won't spoil it for you. So yeah, XCon San Diego. It's on my calendar. September,
Okay.
I think. So Doug, he didn't get the box yet.
I don't think I got a box because I signed up for the free one first because I was like, well, I'm not going to be able to make it. And then my schedule freed up and then I had to email them. So maybe I got skipped out on the box. So if anyone
you would have got an email, because it came from, I got an email to my work email saying that, hey, you can do that. All right. Question here from Chris. What's the best hardware for Bluebeam? Loaded question. Because I'm on a BIM box. What are you using?
I'm on a BIM box too.
So it's the best hardware. Is it overkill for Bluebeam Revu? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But chances are you're going to need other software running anyway.
Yeah, I think that's kind of comes down to your workflow. And when someone ever asks me about hardware, I like to always talk about the one tool for our job, right? So in our industry as designers, engineers, architects, the whole 9 yards, right? The one tool we need, just like you need a car maybe to get to work. I guess you can necessarily walk or ride a bike. You still need a tool, right? You need the proper shoes, or you need the bike, or you need the car. The one tool to our job is a computer.
Yep.
we wouldn't be able to do anything without it, right? So my thought process when going into a computer is I need the optimal solution no matter what software I'm using, and something that's built for our industry, right? I don't go to Walmart to go buy a car.
No.
Do I? No.
I don't go to Walmart if I can help it.
Yeah. So, or do I don't go to Dell, or I don't buy a gaming desktop. So by the way, when everyone says, yeah, I have a gaming desktop, video games leverage one core on the processor. Our software leverages multi-core. So whenever I think of going and buying a solution that is specific to my needs, I'm going to go and buy something that's specifically built for my needs, which is a BIM box, which is built for our industry. So again, any questions you have about hardware, if you are having hardware issues within Revu in terms of your renderings are slow, it could be the file size, how it's being processed. There are ways to go about changing that internally in your interface. If you go to Revu, you can go down to preferences. And then from there, you have the ability, it's under advanced, to change where the rendering engine is. So that is if you're having long load times in your file access, you do have the ability to change the rendering engines here. So just be aware that that is here. If you are using a different type of laptop than what we have in terms of BIM boxes, something that's built for the industry, try here first. Otherwise, it may be time for you to upgrade.
Yep.
And we're here to talk about that too, right?
Absolutely. Because another question from Chris, can we use Bluebeam on a Microsoft Surface, for example? And we've done episodes where my aging and failing Microsoft Surface is no longer happy running Bluebeam Revu, but it's like the 2015 version. So the latest one, I have been looking at getting a new Surface, would run Revu just fine. It's got more RAM. The one I have only has 4 gigs of RAM. That's not enough. I think you can get them up to 16 gigs of RAM now for the new Surface. That would run Revu really well.
But it's not as good as the iPad. Computing speed.
Computing speed, the iPad, cheaper software, portability. It's all, we did a comparison, yeah. A couple of them, because my thoughts changed. I like the iPad for a lot of reasons, but the review on the iPad isn't as good as the Windows version, which you could use on a Surface, but it's cheaper. Yeah. So it's a loaded question. Again, different tools for different jobs. In an ideal world, you'd have a BIM box and an iPad, or a Surface and an iPad, or something. More than one.
And I guess kind of coattailing on that, how would we get into, so Revu on the iPad is you purchase license through the Apple Store. Now, if I'm going to use a Surface and I have a single license, because this has been asked multiple times, how can I use one license on multiple work? Like in terms of, I'm going to go out to the field to use my Surface. How can I use it? I always reference read your license agreement. But if you're doing this for yourself on your Surface Pro, what you're going to do is you're going to make sure you unregister. So you can re-register and unregister a license of Revu on the desktop. So right here, you hit unregister and it turns into, I love when Jason says it, what type of mode?
View mode.
The view mode. So view mode is the free version of Revu. You can install it, I recommend, on everyone's computer versus having the other reader from other softwares. But you're still able to take dimensions. They don't stick, but there are accurate dimensions. So if someone just needed to verify something, you could still do that in the viewer mode of Revu. But this is a free version. And then when you're ready to re-register it, you only have to do this once. So if this is on your Surface, you have to re-enter your serial number and product key, and only once. Because when you come back in like this, and when I'm doing to re-register it, it will have it all there. And I just hit register. And now I'm back into the paid for version of Revu.
But that view mode will participate in a studio session.
Yes.
So if you have if you were wanting to work on something from home, you could easily start a session with the full version at work and then use view mode at home and add markups.
Yep. There's limitations to sessions, which we'll be covering in a future topic.
Definitely. Good question. So another question, do you know how many cores Revu uses?
I do not.
I don't either. But be it that it runs okay on a Surface, probably just uses the single core.
I will answer that question next week. I'll re-ask myself that question.
There you go.
I'll find out. in a couple of minutes after we're done with today.
Mhm.
Any other questions in the chat?
I don't see any currently. All right.
Okay. So let me go pause this again. So we talked about because that was in the chat earlier, was the question
Yep,
about,
yep,
okay.
yep.
I'm new to review. I
What
would
is that one?
well, that's the question. It wasn't a question, it was a statement.
Ooh, that's a good question. We're stealing that one from Chris. Making stamps with checkboxes.
Yes, but that's the JavaScripting behind it with the checkbox.
But there's a
and the
cheat for
solution.
that where we can go download a stamp that already has it and then edit it.
Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah, and we showed that.
Actually,
right?
yeah, we talked about that last week. So
This next
Sorry,
one
Chris.
is, I would welcome example of custom columns being used for pricing. We just did that today. We're keep hitting that question. All things review, keep showing me what don't know.
Ooh.
More in depth on how to create hyperlinks within PDFs.
This is a good one.
Tool sets, profiles, smart tools and tool sets, line style creation.
Ooh, line style. That's one.
Let's do that one. I like that one.
That's always a fun topic, especially for us CAD folks. If you've ever created line types in AutoCAD using Notepad, of all things, you'll lose your mind. I know I have met people who love and thrive on that, but it's not me. And I've done it for many, many hours of my life. Thankfully, there's a tool from CTC that makes that easier for AutoCAD use. But here in Bluebeam Revu, you're going to see some really cool stuff come out of Michael's computer right now.
Okay, so we're still on my computer. If we want to go through and create a custom line style here, I've actually done it for like the 20 volt that I was showing earlier, but let me go through and just go to tools, markups. I'm going to use the line command. Again, hotkey to make sure I'm having straight orthogonal positioning is shift, and then I'm going to place it here. Okay, so here's my line. Let's make it a little longer. Shift again. So now I'm here and getting ready to change this. I have it's called the options bar. And it's also referred to as the options bar in Revit. And Revit has a similar thing for what the properties of things are being changed. What I like to call it is the dynamic options bar. Why? Because it's dynamic to whatever command you're in, meaning things change for the settings that you're going to be shown.
So if we're going to tie it to Autodesk terminology, then it would be the contextual dynamic bar. Because it shows up in context to what you have selected.
Yes. And again, dynamic being the context part, right? Okay. So as we see here, these are out of the box and you're probably like, hey, Mike, I only have all the way down to -6. This is the advanced lines that you get to download. And if you're ever wondering, if you don't have them, just message us. I sent a link out one time before to a client because they're like, hey, I didn't have these.
Mine all will show up. I've never downloaded anything.
I think maybe it's the extreme, or maybe it's just in the advanced profile. I don't know.
Oh, we'll find out. Go back to review.
Well, I'm in review profile right here, but I think it's saved through all cross.
Oh, okay.
But as we go through here, you can see some have been created. Oh, I didn't create any in this one, but we're going to go through and create some ourselves. So I have these from out of the box here. I'm going to go to manage. Again, that's the one I was talking about with those custom ones. So if you don't have it, I can send you this as well. But I'm going to go through and add a new one because we're adding a set of new ones. Does that make sense? Okay. So I'm going to go to new. I'm going to go to example here. Well, not go to example. I'm going to type in example. I really didn't realize how blind I am for like small text because usually I'm like largest screen close up.
Spoiler alert, getting older doesn't make it easier.
Yeah, thanks.
Just letting you know that.
So example here, and then location of where it's going to be saved. It's saved as a .blx file. Relative path, how's it going to save? Is going to go through the title and search for it. I'm going to hit OK. So this one's going to say, are you sure you want to overwrite the existing example? Oh, guess what? I've done this before. So I'm going to probably say no. I'm going to put number 2. Hit OK. Now these are going to be the new sets of the global category of those, right? Because we had the advanced and they had all those weird ones. Same thing. Example, and then some new ones are going to create. So I'm going to add a new one. What am I going to name it? MCR. Morning Coffee Review. And this is the editor. This is the golden child where you were like in pain in AutoCAD days. Why didn't they just create this?
So whoever developed this, bravo.
Yes.
Seriously.
Anyone on that Bluebeam development team, you are a genius, because this is the line, right? So this number 1 up here is what it's going to be example of here. It's just a line currently. So from here, I can either remove that line or add an additional line. See, now I have 2 lines. Or if I don't want it to be a line, so I'm going to delete this 1 line and then have this line, maybe a 0 offset here. Now, if I'm going to have this as the center, I want to modify the way this line looks, because I'm going to have dash MCR dash is my thought. I think that's good. Okay. So I'm going to have this line have dash MCR dash. Now I've selected the line and I want to add things to the line. That's what you do down here. Okay. You can add more lines or more things that you're going to modify from the lines up here, but I want 1 line with modifications to that. So I'm going to add a modification to that. You have options like dash, space, dot, text, and vector. So I'm going to do dash first, hit OK. So now it's first a dash, and I'm going to add another one, and it's going to be text. So vector is pretty cool. Let me just show this, because I've done it before, and it's drawing what you want. So if you want to get fancy, here's some grid paper and draw what you want to draw.
Ooh, I feel the MCR logo coming up.
Yeah, I haven't thought about that, but okay. So we'll do this one. This is going to be text just for this one. And then the text window populates. So it even shows us, because it starts off with text. I'm just do MCR here. So we have MCR. So we have the dash, right? So the dash width is 3. We can make it longer, shorter, whatever we want. And then our text is going to be MCR. So we have dash, MCR, dash, and continue onward. Excuse me. But again, all of these are set up for that. So this is good. This is what I wanted. I'm going to hit OK. And again, you can keep adding newer ones here, right? And they'll populate under this example portion here. Hit OK, hit OK. And then I can come back up here, and it would be nice if they had like a header. These are your advanced, these are your, but it's not, that's fine. Just know that this is in its own category. And I can say, there we go, there's my MCR. So there's my line.
So let's back this up a little bit. You can create a set for your company, right? So maybe you work at a landscape firm. You can have, Jane's landscaping company have a set, and then you would have ones for your different borders and irrigation and all this other stuff. And you've noticed, or hopefully you saw, or you realize by now, that everything, just about everything in Bluebeam Revu is importable and exportable. So create your company standard line set, export it, share it with your team. They can all import it and use the same stuff. So as easy as it is to make line styles, it's even easier to share them.
Yeah, it's one of those things where if someone has the bug to go and create custom things, great. Let them go and create whatever they need to, and then they can send them all out. Or you can draw straws. I'm one of those creative creatures, so I would love to go and do that. Or if you don't have one of those, then you can draw straws and they can share it, or you can split it up. However you want to do it, just be aware not everything. Most things are exportable in Revu.
That's true.
Yep.
So speaking of creative minds, let's go back to that line style and add that vector, because there's a question here from Marvin. What does that blue shading represent in that vector box? So we'll go back to modify and modify the MCR and add a vector component. So that blue shading is sort of your limits, essentially.
I can't make it larger, so yeah.
Well, the padding is what that is.
Yeah.
So if you take the padding down,
the like window.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So I can come into here, and this is going to be your limits, right? So from here, it's showing the new indication of the line. I'm writing over this line that was originally the dash. So within your zone, this is writing over to the next portion of your line.
So if you reduce the left padding there,
oops, hit escape.
So if you change your left padding from 5 to 3, right there, that should affect the gray box, maybe.
Yeah. So.
Oh, it actually made it bigger.
Oops, I keep hitting escape. Don't hit escape. That's like.
There we go. See. I can slap your hand.
Yeah,
we got to do this in person more often.
You help
me
all
the time.
It's one of my downfalls. I always hit escape to get out of something. So if I just he's like, just put your hand off. That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Instead of just not doing it, my hand's gone and now I can't do it.
Yep. CAD use.
So from here, I went to 3 on the left. So it's backwards is what it is.
But it added 3 to that original 5. It got bigger, which is really
So
hard.
maybe it's the zone from here to here. So it's 5. So 3 dots.
Oh.
Yeah, from the center. That's what it is. Okay. So my line from here to here, but again, it's overriding that new indication of where it is. So this from here to here is your space. That's what it is. The other side is like the other object over there. Okay.
So the shading is a little weird in the vector design. Thanks for that question, Marvin, because this is great for us to go experiment a bit.
Yep. And this the center is obviously the below now. So you have the top and below of that line. Hit OK. Hit OK. Hit OK. And I do know this is true because I've done this before. It does not change the line that's already there.
That's what I was going to highlight there, because that's a big thing, right?
That's what I would have to do.
That's very, what would you call that? It's kind of abstract.
Yeah. My
All right.
creativeness.
There you go. Well, we're winding down. We got a few minutes left here today on Morning Coffee Review, a special Arizona Phoenix office edition. If you have any more questions, please type them into the chat. We still have a list to go through, so we've still got more stuff to talk about, but your timeline for asking questions is about to run out.
Yes.
So let's keep going. So back to Michael's magical spreadsheet here.
So profiles, tool sets, kind of similar to things that we talked about before.
Yeah, we did the line style creation, which was a good one.
Yeah.
Let
me go to here.
Before you go back to your magical spreadsheet, we got a follow-up question here from Marvin. Okay. So we've created that line style. You made that MCR one. How do you import it into a custom line style? Or how do you import that custom line style? One, and if you save it to a profile, will it load automatically? So going back to the company standards thing that I mentioned, you can create a custom or company standard profile, which would include all of your customizations. For the most part, there's a button that if you check that button or uncheck that button, it won't bring over line styles. It won't bring over certain components.
We call those dependencies.
Who are you saying's got a dependency? Just on coffee.
So for we're over here is under review profiles. And when I go to manage profiles, and this has all been talked about in all of our profile ones too. So if you ever go back, they're in there as well. But under the selection, so if you've saved your profile and changes, right? So from review profiles and you save them. Now, if I'm going to then select the profile I want to export out to, which is this one, see this include dependencies is the option.
You stop sharing.
Oh, did I?
There we go.
There you go. Sorry. So under review profiles, manage profile. I'm like, why do you keep looking at me? Manage profiles here. And then if you select it, you have the option to include dependencies on export. So these are seen as a .bpx, and that is your profile. And you include dependencies, meaning it's going to bring over your tool sets, columns, line types, preference. No, not maybe preferences. I haven't tried preferences. Probably all of those stuff, I would think. Yeah.
Columns, yeah, all that stuff comes over with that. So make sure that it's checked, because if it's not, you're not going to have everything. Yep. So when you load that profile, though, we've talked about this before, make it read only.
On the Windows, if you don't want people to change it, yes. But if you do have it saved locally on your own drive, when they re-import it, it will say overwrite. So it could change all of their existing things if they modified it back to what the normal one was. So if that ever happens, so like if I went through and changed things on my own personal drive of that profile, and I'm like, hey, Jason, I got a little wacky. Can you send me the old one so I can rechange it back? And you say, yeah. When he sends it and I hit double click on it to open it up, and then we'll save over the new UI, you just hit yes, because we'll ask you, do you want to overwrite the existing one? So wait, you'd probably say no, because if you say yes, no, you say yes, because it overwrites the one on your computer. So correct. Yes.
Yeah. And maybe that's another topic that we need to revisit soon, deploying custom standards for everything. And maybe we'll have to bring in Kyle Davis
Yes, Kyle Davis, for sure, is on our tech support. So again, if you are a partner with us here at ATG USA, you get free tech support. Kyle Davis is a wizard at Bluebeam Revu as well, and he answers a lot of those questions. And our tech support has a 15-minute response time, 2-hour guarantee. Usually it's in 15 minutes to get back to you.
Yeah, I don't know how they do it.
Okay, so going back to here though, if you're just going to export out just the line styles, because I think that was the other question. If you go to manage, they're seen as, let me
The BLX.
Thank you, because I can barely see. BLX, that's why I have a larger screen at home, not this 15-inch. And you will then be able to export that here and import it. But most file extensions from Bluebeam, when you double click on them, it opens Bluebeam and imports them. So on most of them, you don't even need to open the software. You can double click on it and it opens it up.
I've never tried that because I'm pretty much an anti-double clicker.
Yes.
Autodesk
products die hard. With Revu products or Bluebeam products, you can double click on the extension wherever it is saved, and it will, majority of the times, I know it's for BPX, probably this one too, you double click and it loads it in. So
this is also a good thing that you could do as a file attachment. Take that BLX file, attach it to your PDF in a session, and share it with everybody.
Yep. And it's the same thing for tool sets. I know you can double click on those because I've done that all the time as well. It populates the review open, saves them. You can close out a review. It's already defaulted to the, just be aware when you do that, it's default to the profile. If you're just doing the tool sets, to the profile that you're actively in.
Right.
So
it's also a good trick for getting custom line types on an iPad.
Ooh, I didn't think about that.
Because it's really hard to do. So if you attach your BLX file to a PDF and then have that PDF open in an iPad session, it should add those line types.
Well, how do I attach it?
You go up to Tools, File Attachment, or hit F for the hotkey.
Yes, and most folks don't have this window populated. I do because I enabled it from preferences. This is for when you're creating dashboards, trying to pull information or files or folders out from projects. So I open from disk, and this is usually what you'll see here. So from here, you can go into, let's go to here. And then we can go, well, actually, I think I have desktop, I have profiles.
So much. Is it going to be
tool sets?
There you go.
So from here, all these are all zips, but I guess you can put a zip in here. Yeah,
absolutely.
So from here, you'll have the icon. I prefer to change this to what it is, so then they can see it. And then this is going to zip. I probably want to, I have WinZip, and it's going to say you don't own it. So I'm not going to double click it.
I was like, that logo looks familiar, but it's been a while.
So yeah. And then you can double click them for action items. You can even attach an Excel file from here if you wanted to onto the PDF. And then when you send the PDF, they'll have the Excel file. They can double click it, it opens up.
Or pictures or Word documents or specs. There's all types of good uses for the file attachment.
Yep.
File attachments do not follow when you flatten your documents though, so be careful.
Yes.
All right, we got about a minute left.
Are these all answered? Okay.
Yep. So Marvin sharing his story. They added files to a Bluebeam Studio project and then added them right to the iPad.
Ooh, smart.
Great tip.
Because then you didn't have to send anything. It's on the file. Smart. Or if you ever do need to send a file and it's too large, you can create a studio project. Studio is free with any version of Revu. And what you do get access to, you have the ability to go down, and I'm going to open this project here. You can add a file to it, any file type, by the way, and you can send a shareable link. So let me not save that document that I marked up. No. So you'll be in your project here. You can add any document file type you want. I do know you cannot add an executable in here. Just
I think that's the only limitation I've seen.
And you can right click on the PDF and you can say share link. This is a static link. It's not dynamic. It's not going to update if you update the document in here. But what you do get the ability to do is get a lovely little link here, and you can send that. And what does that look like when you, let's go.
Do they need to have Bluebeam to open that up?
No, so I'll go to Windows. I was going to open, when Revu does have a search engine in it, but this is what it will look like. And just like any other downloading device from the internet, it'll download.
Pretty slick way. So you don't need Dropbox. You don't have to pay for Dropbox anymore.
Nope.
Hallelujah.
Yes.
And then Google Drive. I mean, Autodesk Drive is still pretty good, but
yeah,
if you're already using studio projects, this is a great tool to add to your arsenal. So that's a good way to wrap up today. Thank you all for joining us on Morning Coffee Review. Thank you everybody out there on YouTube, viewing this live or in the future. We'll see you next Tuesday.
See you all next Tuesday. And thank you, DJ CJ. And oh, not Christmas yet. So no Merry Holidays until next week, but we'll all look forward to seeing you next week. We'll be back in our own studios. And thanks for tuning in.
We'll see you.